All right, let's talk about something that's really at the heart of Indian democracy, our justice system. And specifically, a crisis that's been brewing for years, the crisis of judicial pendency. I mean, can you even imagine waiting decades for a simple court judgment? For millions of people in India, this isn't some bad dream. It's their day-to-day reality. And the numbers, well, they're just staggering. Just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with, let's start at the ground level. In our district courts alone, we're looking at nearly 4.6 crore pending cases. Think about that for a second. 4.6 crore.
And if we move up to the high courts, that number is a massive 63 lakhs.
Even at the very top, in our Supreme Court, the backlog has just hit an all-time high of over 88,000. But it's so important to remember, these aren't just abstract figures on a chart. Each one of these numbers represents a person, a family, a business. Millions of lives just stuck in limbo, waiting for a decision, waiting for justice.
Okay, so the big question is, why? Why is the system so completely clogged up? Let's get into it and unpack the main reasons behind all this delay.
Well, for starters, there's a huge shortage of judges. I mean, a severe shortage. Right now, India has just 21 judges for every million people. Now, to put that into perspective, the Law Commission actually recommended 50 judges per million. So we're running on less than half the horsepower we actually need. It's no wonder things are slow.
Next up is something you might find surprising. The government itself is one of the biggest litigants. Believe it or not, government agencies are involved in nearly half, that's 50% of all court cases. So when the state, the very entity supposed to ensure justice, is clogging up the system, well, you can guess who pays the price. It's the ordinary citizen, every single time.
And then, of course, there are the problems baked right into the system itself. Things like endless adjournments, pushing hearings back again and again. Vague laws that are hard to interpret. And just a general lack of modern, efficient ways to manage cases. Even good ideas like the Gram Nyayalas, the village courts meant to sort out smaller local issues, haven't really taken off in most states.
And finally, you gotta follow the money, or in this case, the lack of it. India spends a tiny fraction of its GDP on the judiciary, just 0.1%. Compare that to, say, defense, which gets around 2%. What does that mean in practice? It means poor infrastructure, crumbling courtrooms, and not even having basic digital tools in many of our lower courts.
So all these issues, the lack of judges, the government cases, the inefficiencies, they're not just abstract problems. They have real and honestly devastating consequences for our entire society. So what really happens when justice is delayed for so long?
The impact is just huge, and it really makes you stop and think, what is the true cost of all this delay?
Well, the most severe cost is the damage it does to our fundamental rights. See, way back in 1979, in a landmark case, the Supreme Court made it crystal clear. The right to a speedy trial isn't just a nice-to-have. It's part of Article 21. That's the right to life and personal liberty. It's that fundamental. And yet, look at the reality today. A truly shocking 76% of all prisoners in India are under trials. Let that sink in. That means over 3/4 of the people in our jails haven't actually been convicted of a crime. They're just sitting there, locked up, many of them too poor to get bail, simply because the system hasn't gotten around to hearing their case. Then there's the economic hit. It's absolutely massive. When cases about land acquisition or environmental clearances get stuck in court for years, what happens? Major infrastructure projects, roads, bridges, factories get blocked. We're talking billions of dollars in development just frozen in time, holding the whole country back.
And what about the social cost? Well, experts have a term for it: black coat syndrome. It's basically the slow erosion of public trust in the whole legal system. When people feel like the courts won't help them, they might start taking matters into their own hands. And delay itself has become a weapon. For some, dragging a case out for as long as possible is the new strategy to just wear down the other side until they give up.
Okay, so with all this doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, is anything actually being done to fix this? Let's take a look at some of the government initiatives that are on the table. And the answer is yes, there are some important steps being taken. We've got the National Mission for Justice Delivery, which is focused on improving infrastructure and cutting down delays. Then there's the e-courts project, which is all about bringing technology into the courtroom, things like e-filing and even virtual hearings.
They've also set up specialized courts, like commercial courts to speed up business disputes, and fast-track courts for really serious crimes. And there's a big push for something called alternate dispute resolution, or ADR, which is basically about encouraging people to settle things outside the traditional crowded court system.
But while those initiatives are a good start, pretty much everyone agrees that we need to do a lot more. So what does a real blueprint for the future look like? What are the big ideas for a truly efficient judiciary?
All right, here's a 4-point plan that experts are talking about. Number 1, infrastructure. The idea is to create a national judicial infrastructure authority, a single, powerful body to oversee and modernize our court buildings and technology. Number 2, manpower. We can actually use specific articles in the Constitution to bring back experienced, retired judges on a temporary basis, just to clear that massive backlog. Third, efficiency. This one's simple but crucial. Get tough on needless adjournments and start setting actual performance targets for courts. And finally, number 4, technology. Let's really dive into using AI to help manage cases, sort them, and speed up the whole process.
Look, at the end of the day, a strong, functioning judiciary isn't just a nice to have, it's the absolute backbone of our democracy. The goal has to move from this endless cycle of justice delayed to a system of justice delivered. And the solutions are there. We know what needs to be done. The real question isn't what to do, it's whether we as a country have the collective will to finally make it happen.